Okay, I'm back. You don't have to have a sharp point if you have a nub. My nub theory. Sometimes with these antler kind of edges, it's almost like you gotta hurry up and take the flake very rapidly before it can fail. You know, like you just scoop and do it. Flake's already gone and got where it needs to go, and then it goes, hey, you know, I just realized I could have just stepped out and failed, but it's just laying there on the mat thinking that. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make a point style that I created that so far I haven't seen anybody else make. And I call it an agate toilet basin. That's getting there. I mean, that's getting there. That's real close to an agate toilet basin. You might ask yourself what that little rock is for that's I've got positioned underneath here, and I keep moving it back and forth. I don't know that it actually does anything, but I've seen Marty do something like that, and therefore I do it. And I guess the big hope is that the rock I'm working on won't realize who it's dealing with. the edge I had just now was good and just strong enough and just at the right angle and just the right amount of convexity to run those flakes well. And I just wanted to tell you that in case it never happens again. What I try and do a lot of times with the antler, which is totally different from what I do with copper, is I hold it off the pad a little bit, like there's the platform right there. I hold it off the pad a little bit and I push in hard on the edge and then make it go. But I try and push kind of straight in on the edge at an angle that the flake won't release easily at first. And I've tried to abrade to make the edge strong enough to put up with that crap for just a second, because that's where I get my flake to run, is by building up that pressure pretty high, because the platform itself, I mean, isn't strong enough this direction to put up with that. So I'm pushing straight in, I'm not pushing outward. And then just a little bit of outward roll makes it go. It's more of like a little bit of a, sometimes it goes on its own. By the way, you can break your point by pushing it too hard on that Marty rock. Marty spacer. We call it a Marty spacer. No, I didn't say Marty Spacey. Oh yeah. This might end up being the best toilet agate basin I've made. Or agate toilet basin. Man, I'm screwing up my own name for my point type. If you know any actual artifact hunters and are willing to admit it, next time you see them, tell them if they find a crummy looking, what they would have called an agate basin, to call it an agate toilet basin. And they won't think that's funny, and they won't do it, and they'll probably resent you forever for suggesting it. But then what you can do is you can tell them, well, it's not my fault, it was Freeze Crack's idea. And they'll say, well, who's Freeze Crack? And you'll say, well, I don't know, it's this napper online that talks a bunch of crap all the time. And they'll say, well, what is his channel? And you'll be like, well, it's a Freeze Crack channel. And they'll all start, you know, coming and subscribing to my channel because they'll instinctively want something to be mad about. And so then, as long as they're mad at me, they'll be leaving other poor suckers alone. You know, the internet, it's funny. The internet, websites and stuff, postings, forums, funny. You say, can you be more specific? I'll be like, no. This is getting crunchier and crunchier. This rock. It's drying out bad. See how crunchy and dry it is? I probably ought to go soak this in water. I wonder what kind of water. What kind of water would you soak an agate toilet basin in? Oh well. I'll probably end up being sore for 2 days from making this. You're like, man, seriously? Like, maybe. I guarantee you my hands will be sore from trying to hold this thing tight. See, when I do the copper stuff on that rubber pad, I'm not using my hands much. I mean, it's very... I mean, there is some, but not a lot. Man, we're getting there. We're getting there. Now all I need to do is like flute this sucker halfway up here. Say, how do you do that? Like, I don't know. I said I need to do it. I didn't say I knew how to do it. Sure wish I'd shot that flake farther. Would have been cool. Oh man, it almost did it. Dang it. I did it. That flake ran to there, took out a little bitty hinge from the top of that flute that I did. So cool. So cool when a plan comes together. I'm just barely grabbing the edge of the platform with a corner of the sharpened edge of this thing. step that sucker, dang it. That's alright though. I'm gonna get it right here. I need to move my little spacer rock over. It's causing me problems. Who could I call to ask what to do about it? I think I know. It would be fun to call him on camera and bug him. But the camera happens to be my phone, so... Ah. It just comes to a stage when you're dealing with a point, if you can ever get the convexity and all right, the surface contours, then the battle's won, because then it's fairly easy to keep it right if you're just careful, semi-careful. Alright, so I'm gonna leave that like that. And now I got to do something on this other side over here. I think I'll sharpen this up a bit more for luck. Or freshen it. There's just this thing about fresh antler. Fresh antler is pretty darn grabby. Scuffed up antler isn't. Got back.